And in health, HEI signed MOU to launch Emergency Medical Trust Fund in Nigeria. In business, Cameroon and Camalco invest $7 million to kickstart bauxite transport from Minim Matap. In sports, Nadoze tops Women's Super League saves chart. Now the news in full. Tension is rising in Nigeria's university system as two major unions, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, may embark on an indefinite nationwide strike starting on the 6th of October this year. The move follows the expiration of a 2-week ultimatum issued to the federal government over unmet demands, raising fears of a fresh disruption to academic activities. At the center of the union's grievances is the alleged abandonment of the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement and the federal government's continued breach of multiple memorandum of understanding and actions previously signed with the unions. In a communique issued after its 52nd National Executive Council NEC meeting held at Alvan Ikoku Federal University of Education, Owerri, SANU described the government's conduct as a persistent pattern of neglect and warned it would explore all legal means to ensure compliance with the agreements. The unions also condemned the unjust and inequitable allocation of the 50 billion naira end allowance, of which only 20%, 10 billion naira, was earmarked for non-teaching staff unions, including SANU, NASU, and the National Association of Academic Technologies. SANU President Comrade Mohammed Haruna Ibrahim called for the immediate release of the outstanding 40 billion naira balance, insisting the allocation violates the principles of fairness and the terms of the 2022 MOU signed with the Joint Action Committee. The union reiterated its demand for government accountability and renewed commitment to resolving long-standing labor issues. Moving on, Cameroon's informal cross-border trade recorded a 50.7 billion CFA, that is $8.5 million deficit in 2024, up from 44.6 billion CFA in 2023, according to the National Institute of Statistics. The latest figures published in the 2024 National Report on Informal Trade show a persistent trade imbalance, especially with Nigeria, which alone accounted for 111.73 billion CFA of the deficit, more than double the gap with all other neighboring countries combined. The INS attributes this structural imbalance to Nigeria's strong informal trade flows, driven by a porous 1,500-kilometer land border, a weakened naira, and highly competitive hydrocarbon exports. Most goods, including fuel, lubricants, livestock, and manufactured products, enter Cameroon through the far north and not region threats from our armed groups. Separatist unrest in the southwest and northwest since 2016, along with instability near the Central African Republic border, continues to disrupt economic activity and logistics in key trade corridors. In other news, President William Ruto announced Sunday that Kenya will establish both a sovereign wealth fund and an infrastructure fund to stimulate economic growth and reduce reliance on commercial borrowing. The infrastructure fund will focus on financing major national projects such as roads, dams, and energy facilities, while the sovereign wealth fund will manage proceeds from state assets and privatizations, beginning with the sale of shares in Kenyan pipeline company KPC. Protests earlier this year forced the government to revise the 2024-2025 finance bill and launch an audit of public borrowing. A subsequent withdrawal of the bill dealt a blow to revenue-raising efforts. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) is currently in Nairobi to discuss potential support measures aimed at restoring macroeconomic stability and ensuring debt sustainability. While the World Bank says Kenya's economy remains resilient, experts warn that failure to meet fiscal consolidation targets could deepen debt risks and undermine private sector growth. The new funds are seen as a key step toward more sustainable financing and long-term development planning. Still in Africa, Cameroonian tech company ST Digital officially opened a new Tier 3 data center in the Grand Bassam district of Côte d'Ivoire on the 2nd of October this year. The new facility marks a major step in the company's strategic push to expand digital infrastructure and cybersecurity capabilities across Africa. Speaking at the inauguration, ST Digital CEO Anthony Sameh emphasized the importance of local infrastructure in an area of growing digitization and rising cyber threats. With this tool, the digital momentum takes on a new dimension. Having local infrastructure is essential to protect data, Sameh stated. The Abidjan data center joins existing facilities in Cameroon, Togo and Congo with an eco-friendly center also under development in Gabon's Nkok Special Economic Zone, announced earlier this year on February 13. Founded in 2017, ST Digital has rapidly grown to operate in 7 African countries, offering services such as cloud computing, AI, cybersecurity, and digital transformation. According to the 2025 UNCTAD investment report, the firm is among the most active investors in Africa's digital sector, standing alongside other major players like Djibouti Data Center and Econet Global. The report highlights a wave of data center investment in least developed and middle-income countries between 2020 and 2024, with ST Digital leading efforts to localize and scale digital services on the continent. Away from Africa, the Philippine government is considering extending its rice import ban until April next year. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr. announced on Monday during a congressional hearing before the House of Representatives. The current restriction, introduced on the 1st of September as a 60-day measure, was aimed at protecting local farmers from plummeting paddy prices during harvest season. Under the proposed extension, limited imports will still be permitted, with a 1-month window in January 2026, allowing up to 300,000 tons of rice to enter the country, according to Bloomberg. The policy comes at a time when global rice prices are already under pressure, with benchmark Asian rice prices dropping to an 8-year low on the 25th of September due to weak demand and rising supply, especially from India, which is forecasting over 30 million tons of output for the 2025-2026 season. Analysts warn the move could ripple across the global rice market, particularly affecting Vietnam, the world's second-largest rice exporter, and the Philippines' top supplier so far this year. From January to August, the Philippines imported 2.9 million tons of Vietnamese rice. As demand softens, Vietnam's 5% broken rice variety averaged $372.1 per ton in September, down nearly 4% from August, according to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization. We'll go on a quick break now. The news continues when we return.
Sustainable technology. Sustainable technology focuses on reducing the environmental impact of industries by leveraging green energy, recycling, and waste management innovations. From solar panels to green manufacturing processes, the focus is on sustainability as regulations tighten globally. But scalability remains a concern. Green technologies often require large initial investments, and the global infrastructure isn't always equipped to handle the shift away.
Standing to establish the Medical Intervention Trust Fund, MITF. The fund, expected to be operational within 6 months, aims to prevent avoidable deaths caused by delays or inability to afford emergency medical care. The MITF will address critical gaps in Nigeria's emergency response system, including post-crash rescue delays, maternal and infant mortality, lack of insurance, and high out-of-pocket expenses. FHN President Njeden Dili described the initiative as a game-changer, providing a sustainable and transparent funding mechanism for timely medical intervention. AGI Executive Director Pascal Achonine added that the Trust Fund will also focus on training first responders, strengthening hospital readiness, and advocating for a national Good Samaritan law. Unlike the government-backed Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, which has focused delays and disbursement issues, stakeholders say the MITF will emphasize speed, transparency and scalability with backing from public, private and civil society partners. In a joint statement, the organization reaffirmed that no Nigerian should be denied emergency care due to financial constraints or systematic delays, urging wider support from the healthcare community to ensure the fund's success. Moving on to business news, Cameroon and Camalco, the Cameroonian subsidiary of Australian mining firm Canyon Resources, have announced a joint early investment of $7 million, about 5 billion CFA, to rehabilitate key sections of the railway between Mako in the Adamawa region and the port city of Douala. The announcement, made in a joint statement released on Monday, aims to facilitate the transport of bauxite from the Minim-Matab mine starting in early 2026. The investment will begin immediately after the signing of the bauxite transport agreement between two companies and is intended to restore critical railway infrastructure ahead of Cameroon's second five-year development plan set to launch in 2027. The rehabilitation effort is seen as a fast-track solution to enable early exports and ensure the timely ramp-up of operations. Camalco plans to invest a further $85 million, around 47 billion CFA, from 2026 to 2029 to boost output to 10 million tons of bauxite annually. The Minim-Matab deposit has been described by Canyon Resources as a world-class asset, with a recently released feasibility study projected at a net present value of $835 million and annual cash flows of $174 million. The high-grade ore, containing 51% alumina and just 2% silica, could fetch a premium of global markets. With global bauxite demand rising by 3.5% per year, the project is gaining interest from local stakeholders, including Cameroon's National Social Insurance Fund. The existing railway link to the Douala port further enhances the project's strategic value in building a future aluminium industry for the country. Now in sports, Nigeria International and Brighton and Hove Albion goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie has taken the Women's Super League by storm, leading the league in saves and earning a nomination for the PFA WSL Fans Player of the Month for September. Since her summer move from Paris FC, Nnadozie has registered 22 saves in just 5 matches, more than any other goalkeeper in the league, and kept 2 clean sheets to help Brighton rise to 6th on the WSL table. Nnadozie's standout performances have drawn praise from fans and coaches alike, especially after her crucial saves against top sides like Manchester City and Tottenham. She edged past Leicester City's Janina Leipzig, 21 saves, and Elena Lette of the London City Lionesses, 19 saves, to lead the chart. The 24-year-old recent form follows a stellar international year, during which she won the Women's Africa Cup of Nations with Nigeria and became the first African goalkeeper nominated for the Women's Yashin Trophy at the Ballon d'Or, where she finished 4th. Despite her on-field success, Nnadozie revealed in a recent documentary that her move to England has been emotionally challenging, citing loneliness and homesickness. "Every day I cry because I feel lonely," she shared in Nothing Off the Table, produced by Nike and Vessels. Sales, she credited billion CFA deficit in informal cross-border trade in 2024. And Kenya to launch sovereign wealth and infrastructure funds. ST Digital inaugurates Tier 3 data center in Cote d'Ivoire. And away from Africa, Philippines may extend rice import ban to April 2026. In health, FHN and HEI sign MOU to launch emergency medical trust fund in Nigeria. In business, Camry and Camalco invest $7 million to kickstart bauxite transport from Minim-Matab. And lastly, in sport, Nnadozie tops WSL saves chart. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Cynthia Basi. Thank you for watching.